Now we have opened the chapter 3 shell file and the macros have been enabled. Now, I have already named these data columns. If you have not done so, you need to do that first. You know how to do this from chapter 2 notes. We'll verify from name manager that these are the names that have been associated with each column of the data set. Now we're going to look at measures of location in this exercise. Measures of location are indications of what the typical value in the sample data is like. So there are several possible measures of location that we can consider. One is of course the average. The average function is average, and then you enter the name of the data for which you want the average. So we're going to use MPG data for all of these for the entire exercise. So MPG, so that gives us the average value. We'll format this to just one decimal place. Median is the central value. That is, if you arrange the values in the data from smallest to the largest, the value that occupies the center. So that's your median. And mode is the value that repeats itself most often. So that is mode, which is that MPG. Then min is the minimum value, max is the maximum value, and count is the number of observations that or sample size, which is n. Now the next few measures of location are about a particular place in the data set. So first quartile is when you arrange the data from smallest to the largest, if you go down quarter of the way, and what is the value that you will see. So that is first quartile, and all of these quartiles, the function name that we need to use is quartile.exe. Okay, these two are not the functions that we need to use. .exe is the correct function. So MPG for the first quartile, you just simply enter the number 1 followed by a comma, then quartile.exe MPG 2, that is the 50th percentile, or in other words, that is the central value at the center, which is median. Okay, another name for median. So see, median and the second quartile will be identical. It has to be. And then the third quartile is 3/4 of the way from the smallest to the largest. Now the percentiles work similar to quartiles, except that you can specify any level or any distance from the minimum that you want. So 40th percentile would be from going from the smallest to the largest. If you go down 40% of the way, what will be the value at that point? So again, we use the exe function percentile, MPG, and we have to specify the percentile value. The 40th percentile will be the same as 0.4. 0.4 is equivalent to 40%. 90th percentile will be again MPG, specify 0.9 for 90th percentile. Now percentile rank is going the other way around. Okay, instead of saying that if I go down a certain percentage from the smallest to the largest, what will be the value? Now in this case, you give a value, you give a particular value and then say how far down you have to go to get to that value. So you have 25 MPG. So if you arrange MPG from the smallest to the largest, how far down you have to go from the smallest to get to 25 MPG. and that function is percent rank dot exe again, and you specify mpg comma the value for which we want the percentile. So that means you have to go about little over 50% of the way, so we can specify this as a percentage. So we have to go down 50.4% of the way from the smallest to the largest to get to 25 mpg